Hi, everybody. Erika here from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you for tipping me over the 36,000 mark. This is so exciting. I hope you're excited for me, for us. It's great. This won't be a long video, but there were definitely a few issues that I definitely want to look at. Would love it if you have not done so yet, if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell, um, hype the video. What did I call it? Boost? I thought it was boost. I'm a boomer. What can I say? But anyway, if you have an opportunity to hype the video, I'd love it if you do that with the caveat that apparently you can only um, do a boost. No, do a, what is it called? Hype. Do a hype 3 times a week. So there may be other creators that you'd want to give that hype to. So just, forewarned is forearmed. If you give me one, that only leaves you with two for the rest of the week. But I'd love it if I could get a hype. I don't even know what it is. Don't know the significance of it. Don't know what it leads to, if anything. But it's the thing to do, apparently. So I'd appreciate that if you do that. Wanted to mention that I had talked in I think either my last video or the one before that about the flotilla, the aid flotilla heading towards um, Gaza, and I saw in the cards that it was going to be, how can I put this, very poorly received, we'll just call it, by Israel once it hit Israeli space. And that is the case. Apparently, there have been uh, quite a few, several, maybe at least, I think five at least, attacks on the flotilla. So that prediction, if you will, um, was borne out. And I mean, I hate when I'm wrong about things like that, but Israel is showing its, you know what, somebody's grandmother might say. So I want to look at this ICE shooting. So in Dallas, as you know, there was a shooting at an ICE facility where immigrants are being imprisoned. Let's just call it what it is, shall we? And we know that I've heard as many as three uh, prisoners, we'll call them, illegally detained people, were killed. I think another one was critically injured, and uh, no ICE agents were hit in this attack. Now, okay, that on its face is one thing, but as tends to be the case with all of these shootings, there's just some weirdness associated with it. So that's why I wanted to look at this. And the weirdness here is that apparently they're calling the person a sniper. Usually snipers, don't they like have targets? Apparently the target, uh, well, but at the same time, they also say that the shooter shot indiscriminately. But then they also say, and who's they? Crazy-eyed Cash said that the bullet had engraved on it something like, you know, that they were anti-ice. Okay, so you're a sniper. You're gonna make the effort to go to wherever you went, some rooftop or something, to do this crime for which, you will put your own life in peril. And in fact, the shooter did die, supposedly from a self-inflicted gunshot. And and on your bullet, you're going to engrave the words, anti-ice. And yet, in your spree, you didn't hit not one guard, not one ICE agent. I mean, really? So here's what I want to know. do we need to add this latest shooting at this ICE facility in Dallas to the string of just weirdly odd, coincidentally strange, facts don't add up shootings? Do we have to add that to the list? So I guess I want to just look at the shooting. How about that? And of course, we don't have a gun in this deck. We have a scythe because a scythe is a weapon. And I'm looking, I am sort of intending for that scythe in this reading to stand for that particular shooting event at the ICE facility in Dallas. And I just want to know what's up with that. Is there something beyond what they're telling us? Because of course, you can't believe crazy eyes. He's just transparent in his sort of rabid, frantic attempts to blame Antifa, which not for nothing is not even a thing. It stands for anti-fascist. Pretty sure it's a good thing to be anti-fascist, but there is no organized group of Antifa people. There's no membership. There's no. Okay. But anyway, let's just look at the shooting. So we're going to use the site and just see what's around it and how I can interpret what those cards are about. Did you see that orb? I love it. These are always friendly, and I think they're just um, coming to say, you know, this is good and important work that we're all doing here. Okay, so we're looking for the scythe. Cards are upside down. That's okay. All right. Well, now they're okay. Oh my gosh. So, okay, but here's our scythe, so I don't have to turn over too many. Okay, this stands for the shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas. And I feel like maybe just a clarifier for each card, but maybe a couple more for the scythe itself. Okay, so we have the moon, we have the clover, we have the scythe, we have the rider, and we have the young woman. The shooter was a young man, young white man, because I mean, aren't they all? Okay, now the identity of the shooter. This is the card for identity. Um, but I don't even think it's about the identity of the shooter as much as it is looking at the identity of the shooting. Um, that's what this card is. And I just, you know, love Clover, but here it just feels like that this is just really opportunistic. Like it's Cash and people in the administration saying, let's take every opportunity that we possibly can to create murder and mayhem and blame the left. That's what I think. I mean, it just so happened that the bullet said, I hate ICE or something like that. And yet he shoots and he doesn't hit anybody, any ICE agents, because of course they really don't want to hit ICE agents. They're just as happy that it hit the immigrants. It just feels too um, it's too many a series of too many sort of lucky accidents. Oh, and lucky too, of course, that he happened to kill himself, the supposed shooter, because then you can't question him. I think that that shooter. I'm looking at the last card, which I can mirror this card with the identity of the shooter. Not a woman, but absolutely a patsy. Maybe somebody who thought they were taking one for the team, as so many radicalized people tend to think. And who tends to be radicalized nowadays? Pretty sure it's MAGA, Groyper, it's the right. I'm just saying. So I feel like this person was a patsy. I mean, they couldn't even shoot straight. If the aim was to, you know, show your hatred of ICE and you don't end up hitting anybody that is a member of ICE, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. And then we have the clover, which again makes me feel like there's something opportunistic about this. Scythes in the middle. And then we have the rider. Now, the rider, which is the fourth card, I can mirror with clover. And so it's not that they want to, riders like a message. It's not that they want to send a message that they're being opportunistic. What the message that they want to send is the left is doing all these things. They're so violent. When it's never the left, it's always a white, young, Christian nationalist, whatever person. Um, they want people to believe the lie. They want people to believe the staging and the setup and all of that. And I'll say more about this later in another question I'm going to look at in a little bit. Um, so I pulled one clarifier for the key, but probably I should pull more given what I pulled. So let me just pull a couple more. I don't even know what they are because they're face down. But moon clarified by the key, the birds, and the anchor. Yeah, I think that this is just an effort on the part of the right. And I'm not trying to say right, left, but I mean, that is kind of where we are. It's north, south, right, left. I mean, black, white, it just is. So, key, the key is an answer. The identity holds an answer to something. So then, of course, that made me want to pull more cards because, like, what are we answering? What's the question? What's this all about? I think it was to anchor their base. You know, it's one more way to sort of swamp them with supposed evidence that we're in this left-right war and that the bad guys are the left. Because this is groups and this is anchoring them. That's the attempt. Um, Clover, I drew one clarifier and it's child. I just feel like the person who did the shooting, I said they were a patsy. This also makes the case that they're a patsy. Somebody who, knew how to maybe load a gun and maybe pull a trigger. But again, if ICE was the actual target and nobody from ICE was grazed, either they're really good or that really was not their target. And and they were told to shoot whoever they were told to shoot, and so they did. And it's for the cause, so they did a little jihad thing and shot themselves. I just think it's just opportunistic, and I think that the person who did it was used for this purpose. So we have the scythe, which is the actual event, and the clarifiers are the snake, the tree, and the heart. I seriously, this is the event. This is the evil of it. But again, it just feels like something staged to sort of really get those roots down deep so that, the roots are down deep. People are locked in the right. to believe that they're in some sort of war with the rest of us. Is really sort of planting deep, deep roots. And, you know, they supposedly love God, love country, love Christ, love Charlie, love Erika. They all blah, 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 blah. And look, somebody tried to get ICE, and we know ICE loves all those things too. So it's to stir people up to get them misdirected. I, huh, the writer, again, this is a message. Where did it come from? I mean, I hate to say it, and it sounds very conspiracy sort of, but this is the card for government. And we've got crazy-eyed Cash coming out and making all these statements in order to affect a certain outcome. And the outcome is a mindset um, that the left is bad, that the left is doing all this stuff. That's the message. And then we have this poor guy who did this shooting because he was a loyal foot soldier. And I can mirror this last card with the very first card, which is the moon. It feels very jihadist. Like, and I mean jihad in the broadest sense, like that they were told, you're doing this for MAGA, or Charlie would be proud, or, onward Christian soldier, something like that. Um, you'll go to, you won't go to you won't have 10 million virgins waiting for you when you get to paradise, but you know, you'll get to stand in line and meet Charlie when you get to heaven. I think this person was just unerringly, foolishly, slavishly loyal to the cause and agreed to do this deed for some people allied with 47. I am not saying that the felon had anything to do with this, by the way. I think that the felon is just um, doing, it's doing the most for him to just spew his venom and put one foot in front of the other. Um, but there are people around him, Miller, Russell Vogt, Project 2025, uh, Fuentes, any number of people. Uh, so that's that story. There will be more. We will learn more about this incident. It is not as cut and dried as they want us to think that it is. It's just not. Uh, okay. Speaking of such things, on the unaliving of CK, there is news. The news, again, coming from our esteemed news source with the crazy eyes, Tash Patel. Uh, Apparently, there's controversy about bullet directionality. Now, what do I mean by that? If you've seen the video, or if you've seen the mock-up or whatever, you will notice that there is a very large wound in his neck. At first, people said, well, that's because he was wearing a bulletproof vest and the bullet hit the vest and then boomeranged up into his neck. First of all, apparently he did not have a bulletproof vest on. You can see his anatomy, I'll just call it, through his t-shirt. There was no bulletproof vest. Second of all, and those of us who are my age know a little bit more about a bullet's trajectory than we would probably choose to because we lived in the era of assassinations in the 60s. So we all, know this information. But for those of you who don't, generally what happens is a bullet entrance wound will be quite small. It's the exit wound that's large. Acknowledging that, Patel of the FBI said, "Oh, now we're thinking that the bullet didn't come at him like this or like this and then this, because there is no bulletproof vest, but it came from at him from the back." Of course, if it came at him from the back, the entrance wound in the back would be small, and then you would have had that big wound that we see in the front, because that's the exit wound. Well, what does all that mean? I mean, the shooter who they all looked for in a certain direction, if you follow that trajectory, he would have shot from towards the front of Kirk. But if you're saying that the bullet came from a different direction, then that guy is not the guy. It's another guy with another gun. Isn't it interesting that there was no autopsy? They couldn't get that body on Air Force Two fast enough with no autopsy. I mean, why? Why was there no autopsy? Because then someone would do an analysis of what the entrance wound and the exit wound was and wasn't. Could that be the reason? So I guess what I want to look at is I just want to cut to the chase and look at Tyler Robinson, and I want to see whether he will be convicted on the evidence, because this is the thing. All of this is speculation. We won't know what's really what until we're in a court of law and the evidence is presented. But so far, it looks like what will be the evidence? He was not wearing a bulletproof vest, CK. There is a large wound in the front of his neck, too large to be an entrance wound, but commensurate with the dimensions of an exit wound, which means where did the bullet come from? And that guy couldn't it be in two places at one time, meaning Tyler Robinson. So could he have done this? Now, mind you, they're seeking the death penalty against him because you need another martyr. I want to know, I'm just going to cut to the chase, and I would like to know what will be the outcome of this case against Tyler Robinson. It could be that they end up doing what they did with the first two guys and saying, oh, you know what? He wasn't the guy either. It's number four. That could happen. But, Tyler's not talking. Why is that? Let's look at what will happen with Tyler Robinson. And again, I'm intending that Spirit knows when I'm asking that question. I'm talking about the adjudication of his case. Okay. So I'm going to use the young man for him. I don't know how I'm shuffling these cards and they're coming up upside down. Okay, so this stands for Tyler Robinson. Okay, so we're looking down the line. Should there actually be a trial? We have the birds, the rider. Here's Tyler Robinson. We have the crossroads, and we have the clouds. So the first thing that I will say is think of this as a jury of one's peers, because that's what this is. It's a group of people, right, who are going to hear the evidence and then decide on the case. Well, look what I can mirror that with. Clouds. You don't have to be a Lenormandist to know that clouds could easily mean, in legal parlance, reasonable doubt. I do think there will be reasonable doubt found in this case. Uh, Second card is the rider. So what news will come? That they will need to look in another direction. Crossroads. They were going down this line, but reasonable doubt means they're going to have to look somewhere else, meaning the FBI, whoever. But this jury is going to say on the subject of Tyler Robinson, we cannot find him guilty because there is too much reasonable doubt. I pulled cards on Tyler Robinson, and again, we're looking at this in relation to the outcome of his trial. And I have Clover, Heart, and Star. I think he uh, ends up beating this rap. Crossroads clarifiers are anchor, scythe, and woman. So they're going down a certain path. They are really stuck on that path. They've got in other words, they have a story that they want us all to buy about what happened. And they're really stuck on that story. But the evidence takes people in a different direction, which means that the story gets cut. They have to, it gets cut, just stopped. And he may very well have a woman attorney, or, one of his attorneys may be an older woman, and she will be, operative in getting him off. Final card is this reasonable doubt card, clouds. Clarifiers are the tower, the lily, and the moon. So here's reasonable doubt. If you think about this as the court, and they make the mature, right decision about the identity of the killer by saying that it was not Tyler Robinson. Who says it? The jury says it. I can mirror these two. So I think he will be acquitted. I'm sure, it's like every criminal, right? Criminals think that the plot that they spend months hatching is foolproof. And of course, it never is. Uh, I think he was part of a plot. I think he knew very little of the plot. He only knew his little piece of it, which, of course, now that he ends up in a death row case, it's not so little, but he only knew his portion. Uh, and, uh, again, as so often happens, criminals are not as smart as they think they are. The people who hatched this plot clearly are not as smart as they thought they were, and they're definitely not as smart as the internet and all of these internet sleuths. I mean, I'm going to include myself among them. Even I said, that's kind of a large hole to be the entrance wound. I mean, and come to find out, Cash Patel says, oh, yeah, no, we think he was shot from the back. Well, then who shot him from the back? Because it wasn't Tyler Robinson. I'm just saying. Stay tuned. Okay. Another juicy piece of information has to do with Erika Kirk. Why these people have to be named Erika and Robinson, I don't even know, but what are you going to do? So, did you notice how physically affectionate 40, the felon, I like to call him that. I forget who coined that phrase, but I do. I think I prefer it to 47 or 45 or the person's name. The felon and Erika Kirk seemed quite physically warm towards each other. Now, listen, I get it. She's a new widow. I was a widow too. People hugged me. I get that. But I wasn't hugging anybody like that, like she was hugging him after my husband passed. Now, also, come to find out, she knew him she knew the felon for years and years and years, since she was 17, and picked out of a crowd, so to speak, to be in this beauty pageant. She'd never been in a beauty pageant before. Next thing you know, she's Miss Arizona. Next thing you know, okay, she doesn't win Miss America, but next thing you know, still very young in her teens, she is sent to Romania to head up a charity, children's charity. Next thing you know, a lot of the Romanian children, these orphans, go missing from Romania, but turn up in other countries, European countries, the US, and islands which will remain unnamed. Next thing you know, Romania kicks her out and her charity. It's not till later on down the line, having made millions doing, I mean, I think she makes athletic wear or something. I don't know. Christian athletic wear. I don't know, whatever. She meets Charlie Kirk. And now she's the widow of Charlie Kirk. Kind of like these shootings, I feel like there are all of these sort of disparate facts that are provable, but need to be put together to make the right puzzle. You know, you don't want to jam the wrong piece into a puzzle because then you break the edges of it and you ruin the thing. I don't want to do that, but I am curious. For example, here's what I'd like to know. Um, could her name be, I don't know, anywhere mentioned in these elusive e-files, even casually? Because how did those children end up on one of those islands? I don't know. Let's um let's look at her. She's still young. I mean, she's something like 36. I know she was older than he was, than Charlie was. I just want to look at her, and this time I'm looking at her with an eye towards the e-files and whether she is to any degree enmeshed in that whole thing. Okay, so we'll use the young woman for her. Okay. And basically, remember, the question that I'm asking is Erika Kirk some kind of way caught up in Epstein related stuff from her time in Romania uh, forward? We have the ship, we have Clover, we have Erika Kirk, we have the mountain, and we have child. So here's what I'm going to say about that. This card, one of the meanings can be overseas. So we know she was overseas. Now she was pretty. She'd been a pageant winner. She is well spoken. Uh, so she would be a great find for an organization like the E Ring because, young, attractive, blonde, white, innocent seeming, a lucky find for them. But as a result of her involvement, we'll say, because again, they threw her out, Romania threw her out and threw her charity out of the country, forbidding her, blocking her from further access to their Romanian children. I mean, can these cards be any more direct? She went overseas to procure children, and her luck in doing that ran out when they kicked her out. So that to me sounds like a big yes, but I drew clarifiers just to be fair. So we have this ship, which is this overseas connection, when she went to Romania to head up this charity. Meanwhile, the girl's what, 17, 18 years old, 19 years old. Come on. Clarifiers are the lily, the scales, and the garden. So overseas, again, she would present as somebody safe, someone you can trust, a fair-minded, honest broker. That's how she would appear to the Romanian public. So here she is. E-file people are happy. She's happy. Everybody's happy, except, of course, for the children. But anyway, because there is money to be made, and there is money that was made. Um, and then we have the tree and the star. This was meant to sort of be a long-standing thing. The plan was to keep her there, to build this organization up. Romania, of course, those kids are white-looking children. That would be a plus. That she could be you know, our overseas procurer and for a price. And far into the future, they thought this would be like a career move for her. Here she is. Clarifiers are the cross, the anchor, and the tower. I think in many ways she is beholden to that operation still, right? I mean, obviously she is. She doesn't want word of this to spread, even though word has gotten out. But she's beholden to them. She's kind of sacrificed herself for this cause because they've bankrolled her. um, in every way since she was 17. She, I mean, you wonder about that marriage. Was CK set up to marry her? Like, was she trawling for him or was he trawling for her? Which one was it? Fourth card is the mountain. Clarifiers are the rider, the young man, and the letter. Listen, I still think they will do everything they can to keep from the public news about uh, the Epstein files and how many people were involved in it on how many different levels. Child is our sorry, our fifth card. Clarifiers are the bouquet, the whip, and the bear. So, children given as gifts, um, abused, and oh, look who pops up, our narcissist in chief, who was um, allegedly and for entertainment purposes only part of this operation because she was in his pageant, tapped to be in his pageant. She had never been in a pageant before, tapped to win Miss Arizona, and then tapped, still very young, to head up this charity organization overseas by him. So, yeah, I think that Erika Kirk, again, allegedly, I would like this to not be the case, but I keep saying there are wheels within wheels. This is way more involved than anybody could conceivably have imagined. If you wrote this as a screenplay, you'd be laughed out of Hollywood. But here we are, and this is real life. All right. Two more things. I know this is getting a little bit long, but uh Comey, the guy who on the eve of the election said, wait, what about Hillary's emails? And essentially lost her the election, one could argue, you know, arguably. Um, is now, then post everything, he became a writer. I think he writes um, like spy novels or something, and did the whole author's circuit with his turtleneck and his tweed jacket. And, I guess he thought that's what his post-government life would look like. Well, come to find out, 47, who is mad at him because he didn't pardon Flynn, and for some other stuff, uh, is asking that he be indicted. We know that, we've known that, we saw that little missive that was meant to be private, or was it, between 47 to Bondi saying, he needs to be indicted, indict Comey. Well, apparently, word on the street has it that they are seeking an indictment. And this indictment is he's being accused of, what is he? Well, hold on, I wrote it down. He's being accused of perjury, of lying to Congress. Also, being accused of having authorized a leak that was detrimental to the felon. Now, the thing is that at least on one of those charges, the statute of limitations, which is a 5-year statute, runs out this week. meaning it's kind of now or never that he is indicted. Now, the saying, you can indict a good prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich. Uh, I mean, anything's possible, right? In the felon's um, Justice Department. So I just want to look at how things will go for Comey, even if let's say he's indicted, even if he is acquitted on charges, he has to pay a lawyer. He has to spend his time not writing novels, but, you know, answering this complaint. Um, I mean, it would upend his life. Now, I'm still mad at him about the Hillary emails, but, um, you know, one thing has nothing to do with the other. 47 is just out for vengeance. And because Comey was not a complete lackey, he was a little bit of a lackey by bringing up those emails. But anyway, not a complete lackey. He is being um, hunted and, with an eye towards punishment. So we're going to look for the older man. This time this will stand for Comey, and I just want to know, what will his legal status end up being um, by the end of the week? Will he be indicted or not? Now, one little other piece of information about this case is that the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District in Virginia was in charge of this, putting this indictment forward. He refused, just like he refused to pursue an indictment for Letitia James, who's another one of, as you know, Trump's targets. And so this U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was fired. So it's interesting well, somebody else now has been named. This is a woman who looks like one of those Fox women, if you know what I mean, the hair and all that. So she's an attorney and she's known for, what did she do? She's known for, I think, all of the Trump activity at the Smithsonian, like taking down all of the, anything that has to do with slavery and Reconstruction and all of that. Yeah, she was in charge of that. So of course, sh the felon loves her. Well, she is now going to take this guy's place, the one that was fired. Um, and because she does the felon's bidding, that sort of sways the odds that Comey could be indicted. But the thing is, indictment happens in a grand jury, and grand juries are regular people. So, can this woman who tried to take down the Smithsonian, can she convince a grand jury that Comey should be indicted? And can she do it this week? Because again, with the statute of limitations, it's now or never. Let's see. What am I looking for? Right, what did I say I was looking for? Oh, Comey. Let's just look for Comey and see how he fares. So we're looking for the older man. Okay. So this stands for James Comey this time. Okay, and really, I guess I'm looking at this week. Like, will he be indicted this week? Okay, so we have the scythe, the ship, Comey, Clover, and the bear. Now, again, a decision has been made by 47. I can mirror it with the narcissistic card for 47, the felon, to go ahead with this. That's what he wants. I mean, he's a little bit frantic over it. Probably because he was apprised of the fact that that statute of limitations is about to run out, at least on one of those charges. So he's like, Pam, do it now, right? They couldn't strong arm the one guy. He gets fired. They replace him with this fox-looking woman. Do it now. And it looks like things move ahead because we're living in the upside down. It looks like things go ahead, move ahead, and that he is indicted on one or more charges. So here we've got Comey. The clarifiers are the snake, the rider, and the moon. So this is his reputation. I can mirror these two cards that's at stake. And, the message that the felon wants to send is, you in trouble, boy. You in trouble. Okay. Now, this line, when I first pulled it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So, fourth card in our original line is Clover. And the clarifiers, though, are the coffin, birds, and the mountain. Listen, I won't feel bad if I end up not being right because I will be in very good company. But I and many of my sister and brother metaphysicians, people who do this work, have said that right now the felon's here for a good time, but not a long time. And uh, Comey could get lucky because happens to you know who, causing a delay in any kind of proceeding against him. This would be a jury trial. So the felon's health could sort of put a screeching halt to everything. And then we have the bear, and it's clarified by the sun, the scale, and the heart. So here's him, but the sun shines a light on what people do in the dark, and justice prevails, thank goodness. Now, this feels like a poem of some kind, a koan or some kind of poem, because the last card is the heart. Isn't that nice? Justice prevails, and okay. But I can mirror it with the very first card. It's the scythe. And because I'm now looking at it with the heart, as opposed to the cards I was looking at it horizontally, it makes me think of the felon's heart. I mean, who wrote Things Fall Apart? Was that Chinwe Achebe? I don't know. But once this happens, a lot of things are going to fall apart because the Vengeance Tour will stop in its tracks once the head of the tour um, is traveling the river Styx with the boatman Charon. You get my drift. So yeah, I think he could well be indicted. Absolutely. They want to get it done before the end of the week, which is like in a couple of days. If they don't make that particular charge stick, they'll try to make the other one stick. And then, of course, the wheels of justice are very, very slow moving. So Comey will have to deal with this, prepare for a trial and all the rest of it. But I do think that before there can be one, there will be an intervening event for which I have champagne that is sort of been in my refrigerator for like a long time waiting. And that will call a halt to everything, pull the plug on a lot of things, including this case against Comey. So again, I could be right, I could be wrong. All I am is somebody reading cards. So entertainment purposes only, as we like to say. All right, you all, thank you so much for watching. I won't be here tomorrow, but you will find me on Substack. I'm going to write, as I always do on Thursdays. I don't know what I'm going to write, but the cards will tell me. If you're new to my channel and you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go over to substack.com, it is a platform for writers who love good writing and the people who love to read it. And I love to both read and write on Substack. And so on Thursdays, I write an article and I use tarot cards, I use Lenormand, and I use an African oracle called the Adinkra to sort of set the scene for what I'm going to discuss. And I let the cards talk amongst themselves, and then I enter the conversation. So, you can look at my past work and see how that is. It's free for now. Um, I may charge coming in the fall, but not very much, like $2 to $5 to read. But for now, it's free, and that's where you'll find me tomorrow. But I will be back again here with you on Friday. So have a great rest of the day and a great Thursday, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Take care.